Heidi Bee, divorce comeback coach, is a certified and trauma-informed divorce coach and somatic breathwork facilitator. Heidi's the host of the podcast Divorce Comeback Coach, where she hosts candid conversations with truth talk and tips to start taking your next best step now towards the life you deserve and desire. Her 3-month comeback course and coaching community gives women the exact roadmap, resources, and relationships that they need to navigate their new normal and get their lives back after divorce. And oh, isn't that a wonderful sounding thought, Heidi?
Yes, it's a dream come true when you learn how to do it and what you're actually looking for. It's been quite the journey.
Well, getting divorced is such an emotional process. It feels it weighs people down, right? It is a negative process. And when people are saying, oh, but you are going to have a happy life after, and you're going to restart your new life, and there's going to be all the good things, it's like, I'm going through divorce. That's easier said than done, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, and it feels like that at the time. Like I remember feeling like there's no way I'm gonna feel different. I'm gonna have to fake it till I make it the rest of my life. Is honestly what I had kind of convinced myself of when I was newly divorced. So I get how that feels 1,000%.
Well, so you've been through divorce and you know exactly what it's all about, which is why I'm sure you're such a great divorce coach, is because you've lived it, right? What would you be willing to share with us about your divorce story?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm an open book, so if anybody ever asks me for an expanded version of this, I'm happy to share way more. But in the respect of getting to all the juicy stuff, I'm going to kind of just get to the point with my divorce story. Is pretty kind of simple. I married my college sweetheart. We had a blast together. We were living a fast-paced life. We weren't really interested in having kids, but we got married in our 20s and we just wanted to have a good time. And we met at a time when we could do whatever we want, whenever we wanted. And we just kind of got into that space of full-on variety. We were kind of the power couple, the fun couple, everybody come over to our house couple.
Well,
So,
wait, this is sounding so good. I don't
right.
understand how we get to the point of divorce here.
Exactly. You know what is really wild is if I fast forward from this point to the divorce point, we had relocated our lives after he went to grad school. We relocated our lives away from family, away from friends. And for the first time in our lives, we weren't surrounded by all the people that made us feel like we were the power couple and the happy couple and the fun people and all the things. We had, for the first time in our lives, had to rely solely on each other. And I think the mundane created this opportunity for us to finally kind of sit with ourselves and who we actually were, not trying to mask and perform. And we both were kind of like showy and extroverts and life of the party spirits in our 20s. We slowly, without even realizing it, just didn't really have much in common that we thought we did, because we weren't really the people that we were in our 20s. We weren't living that college phase anymore. So as we kind of decided who we were going to be, we sat at our favorite bar on a random Sunday having beers, and he looked across the table from me, Tracy, and he said, "Are you happy?" And I was like, "No." And I could not believe that I said that out of my mouth. "No, I'm not." And he goes, "Do you think we should get divorced?" And I said, "Yeah." I just like that. Just like that.
Wow, how
Like
brave. And
like
you didn't even know it was brave at the time, right?
No, no. And talk about just like a soul's expression coming out when you didn't know it. And this is before I went through transformation and healing and knowing anything about myself. Something inside his soul and my soul knew enough to go, something's not right. And I'm not going to wait to find out. And we
Wow.
got a lot of criticism because people said, well, why didn't you fight for your marriage? Why didn't you fight for each other? That's what people do in marriage. They fight for one another. But our souls knew well enough at that time, without us knowing, that this wasn't going to be forever. And we were 11 years together. And what I want people to know is that no matter how you find your way to the seat of divorce, to the chapter of divorce, if you do, it hurts like hell. And it's
Right.
hard, and it's hard to move through. And it's really, really hard once you sign the papers and you wake up one day and you go, holy shit, what am I doing? Like, how am I going to navigate this next chapter? And that's where I found myself. I found myself on the bathroom floor day after day, bawling my eyes out. But then the other part of me was this powerhouse, go-getter, six-figure jet-setting woman. So I would drive all the way to work, wipe off my tears, show up to my team, get the day going, became a workaholic, came home, drank a bottle of wine, numbed myself to sleep, woke up and did it over and over and over again until I finally decided enough is enough. But Tracy, that took me 3 years to get fed up with feeling sorry for myself, wondering what the heck happened, shaming, blaming, guilting myself, going, I chose this. We sat across from each other and went, no, 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 thanks, and did it. Like, I felt so many things, but I didn't know what to do with myself. And at the time, there weren't books on how to get your life back after divorce. There weren't divorce experts and coaches and communities like there are today. There weren't people like you who existed to help me figure out where the heck the hidden money was. There wasn't any of that I could find at my fingertips. And so I really struggled in figuring that out until I joined a coach in a program to become a certified life coach. And that process changed my entire life. And as soon as I got done with that program, I went, holy crap, I need to show every single divorced woman what these tools are and how to do this. Because I was always looking for the how to and the women that were going through divorce like me, because I could never find any other divorced women. I was like, I guess I'm the only one. I guess I'm the only divorced woman in the whole world, and I'm in pain, so I better just hide. So that's kind of the short version of my story.
Well, we live in an instant gratification world, and I don't think as you're going through divorce that anything is instant. But as you're saying, oh my gosh, it took me 3 years to get there, I'm saying to myself, there has to be a way to shortcut this process. There has to be a faster way to get to the healing, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why I finally took my business in the direction of the comeback, because I think that a comeback is actually what I consider a comeback to be is a fierce reclamation. It is a relentless reclamation. It is this, I've decided that I'm no longer going to sit back and do nothing about it or numb my way out of it or wait for the pain to pass. I'm going to proactively go out and fight for the next chapter and the next version of myself. I hear a lot of women say, oh my gosh, I mean, I guess it's over. This is how it's going to be. And I remember saying those things to myself, but it's because I didn't have like an exact roadmap or someone telling me, here's the process, here's how to take yourself through it. So the first step is really deciding that you want to reclaim yourself and your voice and the things that are meaningful to you, and really start fighting for that version of yourself. But you have to be to the point where you want it.
Well, let's be clear. And I'm not a divorce coach the way you are. I'm not a life coach. I'm not a comeback coach. But the comeback and the reclaiming doesn't necessarily mean you're going back to who you were before you got married or anything like that. I mean, if that who you were before you got married is the best version of you and that's something you want to revisit, good for you. Yes. But that isn't that way for everyone, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's not this like a lot of people think they have to return to who I was. And I think that was a really big kind of roadblock for me, was thinking, how am I going to get back to my happy self? Realizing that part of the reason why I got divorced in the first place is because I had no clue who I was in the first place. I didn't see that at the time, but once I got divorced, I went, whoa, this next phase is about uncovering and discovering who I actually am now and who I want to be moving forward.
Mm-hmm. It makes me so sad when I am in divorce support groups online and I see women saying, well, I'm in my 50s now. My best years are gone. My life is over. Now I'm getting divorced. He took everything from me. And, I'm just going to have a sad existence for the rest of my life. And I'm thinking, for goodness sakes, if you're 50 years old, you could easily live another 50 years. You might only be halfway through your life. There's so much living to do yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I call this kind of the comeback roadblocks. I think there's a lot of things that get in our way. And a lot of that is what you're talking about is stories. They are these little mean girl voices or mean girl, mean man, if it is, men or women, voices that get in our head that block us from actually moving forward. It's all these stories, all these BS beliefs that we've decided that we're going to buy into and just kind of say, I guess that's it. I guess that's over. And so there really is a process that you get to take yourself through in the comeback course where you get to figure out what's blocking your joy. Why is fear there? I'm on the emotional roller coaster up and down and every way around, and I want to get off the ride. How do I get off the emotional roller coaster ride? How do I process my grief? There's just so many things that are going on in our system, and the process is really a clearing. How do I clear all this junk out of my system so I can make room for the version of me that I actually am?
So let's talk about some tips for getting on this comeback path, because I want to give our listeners a few actionable things that they could do. So they're like probably scared right now. Oh my God, I don't even know where to start, right? That's what I hear with the money stuff too. I don't even know where to start. So, what's required for us to create this comeback? What do we got to do?
Okay. Yes. Well, let's talk about the requirements. So I have I call them the 6 C's of creating your comeback. And it's bookended by 2 W's. So hear me out. The 6 C's are courage, curiosity, compassion, commitment, community, and choice. All right. So those are the 6 C's. We don't have time probably to break them all down today, but we got to be courageous. We need to ask curious questions to figure out who we are and where we want to go and how we're going to be. We need compassion, a softer, lighter sense of self when we're asking all these things and figuring out new ways to do things and figuring out what kinds of resources we want to include in our journey. The commitment C is like fierce commitment. It's that relentlessness that I said in that relentless reclamation. So we need this fierce commitment, like I am in to get back myself. We need community. So whether that is a support group or a coach or, anything that is something outside of, honestly, your friends and family, because they're going to want to say a lot of things and think they're being supportive. But if they haven't been through what you've been through, it's a different kind of support. Okay. So that key community is really important. And then choosing again. We have the ability to make different choices in every single second. We don't have to wait for these big uproars. It can be in the minuscule moments where we make this choice to choose again. The bookends are
bookends. Yes.
Yes.
The bookends.
The bookends are willingness. So I'm willing to be uncomfortable. I'm willing to do things different. I'm willing to see things different. The willingness, and then the want and desire. Enough already. I want more. There is more. I'm going to have more for myself. So willingness and want, squished in between the 6 C's, is the secret sauce, is what I found.
Whew, that's a lot. It's a lot. But it's a lot. When we have someone like you to show us how to approach this, it's not so overwhelming, right?
That's right. And we do have some things that we can do right now. If you want me to share a couple of those.
Yeah. Let's share a couple of them.
A couple of them. So the first thing, this thing really got me back on track and out of the divorce ditch, which was I started a self-certainty practice. Now, some people call this morning routine. I steer away from morning routine because a lot of people think, oh, I have to work out for 60 minutes and I have to drink a glass of water. No, the self-certainty practice is really, it's a reclamation of reclaiming of trust and commitment to yourself. So what am I going to do in the first however long in your day? It can be the first 2 minutes of your day, the first 20 minutes. I like to spend a solid 60. It doesn't matter. And it can change every day. Spend 2 minutes this day doing a self-certainty practice. Spend 20 minutes the next day. But the idea is I'm going to make some promises to myself. Just write down maybe 2 to 4 promises you're going to make to yourself. And I'll give you some examples. And then I'm going to honor those promises. Now, they can be as simple. I started with making the bed. And to this day, I make that dang bed even when I don't feel like it, because it connects me to the promise I made to myself. And I can do that very easily, even if it's a messy bed, right? We're not going for perfection here. We're just going for promises. I made a promise to do this. I'm going to do this. So making the bed, I made a promise to stop pressing the snooze button. I'm just going to set the clock for the exact time I'm willing to wake up. No matter what time, I'm not going to judge myself. Other things, you can move your body in a way that feels good. Maybe you want to do some breath work. I love breath work as a practice of somatic practice. You could maybe do some journaling. Or maybe you want, go ahead.
Let's be clear. Having my cup of coffee every morning could be a promise I make to myself.
Yes, 1,000%. 1,000%. That's a beautiful self-honoring promise and practice. It's great. And one of the things I did, Tracy, was I love coffee. I made my cup of coffee and then I had a book, and I was not very good at reading at the time, or committed. I wasn't committed to reading. But what I did was I got my book out and I committed to reading 1 page a day. So I would drink my
Easy.
coffee, read my 1 page a day, and then make my bed. And that's it. That was it. That's all I could handle. So a self-certainty practice is a beautiful way. Another way is a practice I have called joy spotting, where you get up and you go out and you look for joy. That's it. That's the whole practice. Because even if you don't feel it, and let's say you don't want to look for joy, let's say you want to feel peace, go out and look for peace. Go out and look for calm. Go out and look for excitement. Whatever you think you want to focus on, go out and look for it. Go on a walk and look for it. Because when I lost all of my joy, I didn't think it existed anymore. But when I started looking for it, even though I didn't feel it right away, I knew if it existed, I could have it. And so I just practiced joy spotting, looking for the thing you desire. And then there's evidence that it's there. So those are two real quickies that women and men can start doing.
I love those because they're easy. They make you feel accomplished when you have them done. I have, in my own life, gone towards fewer things to do in the day. So I'm very task list driven because I'm an accountant, numbers. I make a list of things to do. And what I found, I was putting too many things on my list to do. And at the end of the day, I felt like a failure because I couldn't get them done. But I found if I only put 3 to 4 important things on my list and I get those things done, I'm like, woo, I did it. I did my things.
And that's something that you could do for your self-certainty practice. I have my sticky notes here. I do this every day. It's called the P3, 3 priorities or 3 promises of what you're going to do today. And they can be a personal thing or a professional thing. So that at the end of the day, I could have put on here podcast with Tracy. I could have, go for a walk and something else. And at the end of the day, I put it in the recycle and I feel this sense of, wow, accomplishment, awe, pride, things like that, that you honor yourself for actually writing down what you're committed to and finishing it.
So as we're winding down, I want to hear more about your coaching services because you gave us a great insight into kind of your philosophy and some of the tools and techniques that you use. But tell us a little bit more about the coaching and the community that you have.
Oh, thanks so much for that. So what I run is a 3-month experience called the Comeback Community and Coaching Course. So we drop in as divorced women. You sign up for 3 months and I give you the exact roadmap, resources, and we develop relationships that are very supportive, accountability, all the pieces but to create your comeback after divorce. And what that looks like is we have a member portal where you go in and you get actual tangible things, a lesson every week, a breathwork audio every single week. And we get together as a team, as a group, as a community for 90 minutes every single week to trailblaze your comeback and support one another. So we're doing hot seat coaching, we're doing a lot of hand holding and a lot of support systems with one another. And we're practicing the tools that we're learning on own throughout the week and answering a lot of questions. But the coolest part of the community is we use an app called Voxer. So we can talk to each other in real time. You don't just wait until the once a week thing. You talk to everybody in the group real time. So when you're having a hard night or a hard day or a celebration of some sort, you have this community of people who are cheering you on, regardless of the highs and lows and everything in between. So it's my passion project. I love it so much. And we're enrolling now for our fall season.
And does it matter where I am in the divorce process? Do I have to be at a certain point in the divorce to be able to join?
That's a great question. We have about 50% of our women who are not yet divorced. They're probably living on their own. Some of them are just leaving the house, but they haven't finalized divorce. Some of them haven't even started, but they kind of want to get a head start. They want to go through the divorce process with a different attitude, with a different beingness, already becoming the version of themselves as they're making these really big decisions that are going to affect their future. And the other 50%, I would say, are a year to 5 years out of divorce and are just like, I've been sitting in this ditch. I don't know what to do and I am sick and tired of it. So let's frickin' go. So it's this beautiful culmination of everyone, and everybody just supports all the different points in the journey.
Well, I love it. Heidi Bee can be found on the socials at Divorce Comeback Coach. She can be found online at divorcecomebackcoach.com. We, of course, are going to put her information in the show notes. Heidi, thank you so much for sharing with us today. It has been a joy to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Tracy. I appreciate you guys so much.